we scaled to 130K purely based on word of mouth and referrals and partners as well. But I think like to kind of get to the next level, to get people to continue to come to me even after this word of mouth thing sort of dies off, I would definitely need to start doing a bit more.
What's up, Wayne? How are you, dude?
I'm doing great. How are you, right?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for doing this. For those of the people watching who don't know who you are and what you do, why don't you just quickly explain how you got to be here with me today?
So I'm Wayne Liu. I run a marketing agency called Quabi. We primarily serve the info space. So we work with primarily course creators and coaches on how to scale their front-end offers through ads and funnels. So that's what we do. I think maybe it's been like 3 years now since I've been part of the Mastermind with Brian. And yeah, over the years, like we've been through quite a bit, like as an agency, as a business, up and down. But I think overall, it has been like a great experience. Like our business has experienced. I think when we joined, we were doing maybe like 30, 40K a month MRR. I think this year we cracked 130K. That was huge. And I think like within the first year itself, we like right 1 year after we joined the Mastermind, I believe like we cracked 100K. So yeah, it's been a great experience. And I think, yeah, that will be my history, I guess, like the background story of like why I'm here.
Yeah, Wayne's, for those of you watching, Wayne's been a part of it since I first launched the Mastermind in its infancy. He was one of the first founding members that joined, and he attended our Miami New Year's Eve party, which was insane. And him and I always joke about how when other people ask us how the events and everything, we're always like, man, that was the like amazing event. And we always reminisce on that, and we've had fun since then too. Dude, Wayne, with you, why don't you talk about how you even got to be an agency owner in the first place? I'm curious to have the audience, like, why don't you share how you even became an agency owner? Like, how did you even get involved in this industry?
Yeah, so before the agency, I was actually with a online education company called Mind Valley. I was the head of acquisition for the company. I think I started my career as a media buyer, kind of like grew my career over time with Mind Valley. And then like I think up to a certain point, I've been with Mind Valley for like 6 years. And then at some point I was just trying to think like, okay, like I'm very familiar with the business. I'm really good at, let's say, advertising Mind Valley offers and things like that. And then what started happening was that people were asking me questions as well when it comes to like ads, funnels, and things like that. And I think from there, I was, just curious myself because I'm a very like growth-driven person. So at that point, I was like, okay, if I will ever be able to take what I know or what I learned from my job at Mind Valley, I started applying it to other businesses and other scenarios and other offers as well. And yeah, I decided to leave and then decided to start my own agency. That's how the agency came about.
Yeah, it's so funny, dude. You and I have like literally the exact same story. Mind Valley is and still is one of the biggest, info product companies, obviously in the personal development space. So you were with them for 6 years, and you learned the business inside and out, like you said, right? Like you got to a point where I would imagine you probably just felt like you weren't growing as much anymore, right?
Yeah, I did because I was wondering, because a lot of offers that we put out, like I think most of them, I would say like 60, 70, 80% of them would just work at a massive scale as well. And at some point I was wondering like, maybe it's working, maybe the offer is working or like the campaign is working. It's not because of my skill, but it's because of the brand that's already in place, So yeah, and up to a certain point as well, I felt like, because the company was scaling so much in the 6 years that I was with them, I think towards the tail end of my career with Mind Valley, it's a much bigger organization already. And a lot of things that we do is just for the sake of like scaling, like we weren't doing that much like experimentations and, things that are new that we are adding to the funnels, because scaling is all about like processes and then making sure that things don't break and all that stuff. I mean, there were experimentations, but it's done in a very small manner. Like I kind of miss those like startup like Mind Valley back in the startup days. So yeah, that's why I decided to leave and just work with like, let's say, clients that are maybe up and coming in like the space.
Yeah, it's the same for me, man. I was working with my former company and mentor for 3 years, and then we went from like a team of like 5 people on marketing, including me, and then we scaled to like 100+ people in the company in a matter of like a year and a half, 2 years, and then it just became really different. The culture was different. What I was learning wasn't as much as it was before, and it was just like I just felt like I had to go. And I asked myself that same question too. It's like everything we launch sort of works because there's the following, there's the brand, there's the company. And then I don't know if this happened to you, but what happened when I would get questions too about like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Like from just friends and people that knew that I worked with this former company. And I would do the same things I was doing with the company in their business. It wouldn't really work as well.
Yeah,
And then I was
I've
like,
experienced the same thing.
yeah. Talk about that. Talk about that. Because that's a humbling experience when you start to venture off to do your own thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like I think back in the day, like every single launch that I worked on, the company would allocate like 6 figures as budgets. Like we spent 6 figures in like 2 weeks. Like
Yeah.
in for lack of a better word, like nobody's business. Like the money is nothing.
Yeah.
And when I got my first few clients, I think like maybe the second client that I got, we're just like, okay, like how we're gonna run this is that we're gonna do all the like do you have like 6 figures to spend on this campaign, like because that's the results that you're trying to get. That's how I started the conversation. And back then I was really bad as like a salesperson or like doing sales at all. So I was like, okay, like to get the same results, we need like 6 figures of like budget. Like you need 100K to get the same results. Like without asking, how big the company is or the client is, how much revenue that they're generating. That's my ask when it comes to the ad budget.
Yeah.
And then the client is like, let's get realistic here. Like this is our second year in business. We're doing great, but 100K is my profit for the entire year.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. Then, like that got me to kind of like shift my thinking a little bit, like the way how I approach ad campaigns, the way how I approach like the funnels will probably need to change. And obviously, like I think in terms of like risk appetite as well, obviously like most clients out there, they tend to be more conservative as well when it comes to ads. They need a little bit more hand holding from myself and my team. So yeah, that's the like the biggest thing that I learned like right away after coming out of Mindvalley.
Yeah, not everybody has a Mindvalley budget, but they want a Mindvalley
Exactly.
company, right?
Yeah. So many people ask like, oh, what did Mindvalley do? Can we just like copy it like straight up? But it's just like different market sophistication levels are different, all that stuff. Then I kind of like need to, instead of just like pushing something live on ads, I have to ask myself like really hard marketing questions. Like, does this offer match the market sophistication of the people that this client is trying to reach? Like, does the product stand out? Things like that. So yeah,
it's completely different. It's like you go from playing the game sort of on easy mode, and then you start working with these sort of more beginner businesses, new business owners, and they're not used to spending money on ads. And then you quickly realize you have to adapt. Well, there's really two options. You can adapt, or you can just keep going upstream and try to find more Mindvalleys. But they have an in-house team. They're a big corporation. They have big budgets. So it's like you have to adjust and adapt your strategy to these up and coming businesses to make sure that their budget, their system, their strategy is all somewhat dialed in. And so talk about that, because like from zero, like you basically quit Mindvalley, and then like talk about the journey from leaving Mindvalley to 30K. Like what was that period like?
Yeah, so I think I was lucky enough that when I was still in Mindvalley, I've already have people asking me for media buying services, but obviously because of my employment, I couldn't take any of them. So I was like, kind of like, we can jump on calls to like, do like what I call like brain exchange sessions to just kind of like keep the relationship going. And then from there, when I kind of like made that decision to leave, I had like a list of maybe 10 to 15 people that I could just like DM and be like, I'm available now. Like, do you have work for me to do? So I think the first 30K pretty much came from that list. And I think like 6 months in, I decided that, to go from just doing media buying to now creatives, I needed a team. So I started hiring. And yeah, we stayed around like that 30K to 50K period for some time, I think for like 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's how I got there. And then I think, yeah, in the beginning, like the biggest realization for me is also like, there's really no cap to scaling a business, So that kind of was like my biggest takeaway. Like if I want to make more, I just gotta work. I just have to work more. Like if I work more, I get rewarded for it, right? So that's like my my biggest realization in the first 6 months of starting the agency.
Yeah, 100%. It's the same exact thing as me, right? Like I didn't just start from zero. I had clients that were willing to pay me on the side already. So a lot of people, especially nowadays, I feel like they don't even want to work a job to learn the skill and get the experience in the company. They'd rather just start their own agency, but it's on hard mode because you don't build the relationships, you don't build the network, you don't build the knowledge, the expertise. And so you don't have the strategic partnerships to where when you do potentially want to leave and start your own thing, you can. And it's, a lot easier than just having to cold outreach 1,000+ businesses with no case study, no Mind Valley, no company that you've worked for previously. So you and I were exactly the same. Like we had a job where we were doing the media buying, and then we did that same media buying service for other businesses who were willing to pay us in our network. And then you said something very interesting though. You said you realized if you wanted to grow, you'd probably have to add creative. And this is what I believe a lot of people have this realization as well. Like me, I was like, okay, we're doing YouTube ads as a media buying service. We're charging what we're charging retainer wise, but the creative we're getting from these clients just sucks. Like, the script sucks, the lighting sucks, like everything sucks. Like we can't take this creative and make it work because the creative just sucks before we even can get it to work. Like we can't even put it on a platform like this. So like, what was the turning point for you from where you went from like just media buying to creative? Like, what was that moment?
I think the moment started right after I signed my 7th or 8th client. I realized that, not everybody is capable, or they don't have someone like an in-house creative team or like contractors that they work with to supply me with the right creatives. It's all very like cookie cutter, like very simplified banners that I could use, and I would put it into my campaign and just realize that they wouldn't perform. And then my feedback to like it's really hard for my feedback to reach the editors or like designers. That's when I was like, okay, like we need, because a lot of these designers or like editors that my clients back then used to employ, they tend to just post stuff on social media, and that's it. That's all they do, right? So their work is not designed for ads. So that's when I realized that my clients will probably need a bit more hand holding from the production side of things. And then as I kind of like progress along this journey as an agency owner, I realized also that a lot of these clients actually also require hand holding when it comes to shooting the video itself. Like they need the scripts, they need the guide on how to show up on camera and things like that. And funny enough, like that's also when I joined the Ad Spend Mastermind, because I think you guys did a really good job in like prepping the client for their shoots. And I kind of like repurposed that list that you guys sent out to the clients, and I kind of use it for my clients too. So that helped a lot.
Yeah, 100%, man. Because you realize, because your service, right? For there's people wondering right now, okay, what did he sell exactly as the agency service, right? He has an agency, he was getting the 30, 50. Like, you were just selling purely Facebook ads.
Purely Facebook and Google ads.
Yeah, and how much were you charging for it in the beginning? Like when you first you left Mind Valley, like what was your pricing structure like? And then let's talk about that, and then let's go to like what you were charging after with the creative.
To be honest, it was all over the place because I was just like testing like what works.
Figuring it out, right?
I was charging anywhere between like $1,000 a month per client, all the way up to like $3,500 a month. At one point I was just like, yeah, whatever you guys are willing to pay, man, I'm willing to take. I'll take it. And then I was doing that. And then like some people would come in and say like, would you do like $100 an hour for like a consulting gig? I would take that as well. Because I was like, I'm getting paid just to be on Zoom calls. I'm good with that because like back in Mind Valley, I don't get paid to be on calls, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I was just taking as many clients as possible, because I was like, okay, I have a team now, and
Yeah.
then I have to kind of like make the financials work. So I was just like pushing myself as much as possible.
Yeah, so 1,000. So I didn't know how much to charge you. That was 1,000, then I was 2,000, then it was all over the place. And then when you added creative, did that give you more confidence to charge more? Because you're like, okay, my service now is improved. And then if so, did you find it also easier to close clients with that added extra to your service as well?
It did for sure. Uh, I think back then, when we added the creative services to our offer, I think we increased our price from like 3,500 to 5,000
Mhm.
as retainer. Obviously, that doesn't include the performance part if we are able to scale and offer all our
Yeah.
clients. But yeah, it definitely helped big time.
Yeah. And then it just made probably, I would assume, the fulfillment for you and your team a lot easier because they're following your SOP now, right? They're following your process. They're giving you exactly what you need. And a lot of agency owners, I feel like I think we realize this when you're really running an agency, you realize you have to solve more problems than what you originally thought, right? It's never just the leads that they need. It's the creative and how they communicate. And then it's how the leads convert with the funnel and then how they're being nurtured and all these other things. And so that's actually a key point you just mentioned. You also take an incentive, right, on top of the retainer to help them scale. Now, make it very like talk about that and why that's important as an agency owner.
Yeah, so that's important because I think like the longest, the clients that have been with us the longest, it always feels like the relationship is less of a agency client relationship. It's always like a partnership that we
Mm.
have. And I think like when we have that performance element, it incentivizes to kind of make the entire acquisition funnel work for the client. And in a way, like it also aligns with the client's interest, which is to scale their front end offer to reach more people in a profitable manner. So I think
Yeah.
like that performance incentive is really, really crucial in making sure that the relationship is actually a win-win relationship. And another thing that we realized as well, like just looking at the longest, like the clients that have been with us the longest, a lot of times I almost act like their CMO or COO, meaning to
Yeah.
say like they would share, all their financials with me, like transparently, so I could like, kind of guide them on like, okay, this is how much you should be advertised, like how much you should be allocating towards advertising. And just honest conversations of like, yes, I know you want to scale, but looking at the numbers now, I don't think you can put up this much cash, like giving it to Meta and so on. It's just not healthy, for example, and just kind of help them with their quarterly planning and things like that. So as soon as I realized that, I started looking at like, how can I add more value? Like not necessarily like billable services, but the fact that I'm able to kind of like get my inputs on like the client's financials, how they should scale their team, like, in terms of strategy, what they should be building, back end offers, coaching offers, things like that. I think that has really helped in both like retention and in me being able to charge more too.
Yeah, and that's the difference too. Is like you're not a traditional agency owner who's like looking for, like what I mean, like that's the key because you're partnering with them, you're incentivized to help them scale their business, and they see you as that. So you're more of a trusted advisor, business consultant versus like the average agency owner. They're just going to want that 5K retainer, and then they don't really care how the business is doing as long as they're getting paid every single month. And the simple question that like clients have to ask themselves when they're thinking about working with someone like you who does take an incentive or someone who doesn't is like, dude, how much are you going to care? I would imagine you care way more of that client's business who has an incentive than the person who's like, no, I'll just pay you the 5K flat, right? Like, you're not going to
Of
wake
course,
up
yeah.
and say, yeah, you're not going to wake up and say, okay, whose business am I going to work on today? It's like, well, I already did enough for this client to do the deliverables and the service versus this client who I literally have an incentive to scale that makes me more money as an agency owner, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the incentive makes everything better. Okay, so now 30 to 50, right? You got the creative, you're charging more, 5K, right? Is that where you added incentive or is it, and then what actually was where you like what was the thing that you realized you needed to get to 100, to get to that first 100?
Yeah, so that's where I added the performance incentive, and that's where we started doing more creatives. And that's also when I started pushing clients more towards, adding back end offers, because that's when, that's like a gold mine for, let's say, our top 3 or 4 clients,
Yeah,
because they already have a pretty healthy front end when it
yeah,
comes to like ads and also scaling. I think all we needed to do is to convince them to have like a coaching or like a high ticket offer on the back end. And that's when they become more confident about scaling, because they're now seeing like cash. And I think back then, this is also the time when you were talking a lot about like the hybrid offer.
yeah,
So instead of doing the hybrid offer myself, I was asking my clients to do it, because it makes a lot of sense, for their coaching businesses as well. And when they started doing it, like they collected a ton of cash upfront. So yeah, that kind of like incentivized them to be like, okay, I think we can scale a bit more, just to kind of like build up their leads and like qualified customers and things like that. So yeah, so that's when we kind of like pushed a lot, like on our top line towards
yeah.
100K.
Yeah, I love that, man, because you were just, again, giving more value to the clients and seeing the bottlenecks in their business that keep them from scaling. If they're relying on a front end offer where it's, let's say a 3 to 5K price point, and the average cost per acquisition in the US market, let's say, is like 2,500, right? It's like there's not a lot of margin there, especially to pay an agency with an incentive, right? So like you see that and you're like, okay, well, you don't have a back end. There is nothing in existence. Here's how you would build it. Here's how you would construct it. And again, that's different than most agencies, because you're now operating like a true partner, a true CMO, a true, business consultant. So I love that, man, 100%. And that's for sure what got you to 100. And then would you say team also had to be a big thing as well?
Well, the team, like, because I think I started with the mastermind like very new to like running a business. I think like I went through the phase of like not knowing, when is the right time to hire someone, or whether I'm ready for a team, to a point where I think I expanded the team a little too fast for myself. I think team definitely played a big role. I think in the beginning, I think we still have some of our Rockstar team members on the team, and they're doing like amazing job, and they're part of the team like until now for a reason. But I think, yeah, I think I learned my lesson. I don't know whether it's like too late or still considered early, but like, I think right around when we hit like 100K, I had a team that was bigger than the team that I was managing in Mind Valley. I was doing more one-on-ones with my agency
Oh, wow.
compared to when I was still in Mind Valley, and I was just like, and I don't. The thing is, like, I don't like to do one-on-ones. Like, I'm not. I'm an introvert. Like, I struggle
Yeah,
with one-on-ones. Like, I
yeah,
just don't know what to talk about, and it's hard for me to show up
yeah,
during one-on-ones, right? So I think understanding how rockstar players look like after like 3 years into the business
yeah,
really helped me to be, I guess, like at peace with the business that I made, like growing, yes, but also like growing at a pace, or with people around me that I like to work with as well. I think like that's where the team kind of comes in for me. And then yeah, I think another thing that I realized as well is how lean your team is, my Brian. I think like
yeah.
every time I go to like a mastermind, I think it was like in Miami. I was telling my girlfriend that Brian makes 10 times more with the same team size. Like, we need to do something here. Like, it's either we are not hiring A players, or like our processes are just not in place. And then I kind of like set the target for myself in terms of like revenue per employee, and kind of like go after it. And then yeah, that was like my journey with like team members. But for sure, like team members play a huge part in growth.
Yeah, 100%, right? The right team member can make you a lot of money. The wrong team member can waste a lot of money, but also it's knowing when to hire that person, which is why I think you and I have talked about that plenty of times on our one-on-one calls on the mastermind when we do have them, which is like, team's always a big issue, because it's like some people, they hire too quickly, they pay too much. It's just like,
Yeah.
but they're nice. That's why it's like we're nice, and then for a business, it's not very nice, right? And that's the issue.
Yeah.
And so it's all learning lessons, 100%, man. And what's interesting too is with your agency, and a lot of people do this, I believe, they do hire, especially with done for you. It's like we try to get out of everything as quickly as possible, but then you realize, You don't need many people to do it effectively. And even now today, like, let's talk about that, right? Because AI, for example, is now making everything even easier, right? Like I just got done doing a webinar this Saturday about how you can replace basically your entire marketing team with AI to write your VSLs, your ads, your emails, all these things. It's a software we've been using internally that I was talking to you about in Hong Kong that we're building, and it's finally alive. But are you seeing AI like play obviously a huge role with your business now with everything we're talking about in the mastermind too? And if so, like what do you see as the thing that's being the biggest difference for you with AI, if anything?
I think the biggest thing for us is definitely being able to replace our clients with third-party POV video ads. So we used to, have to make our clients kind of like schedule like a 1 hour or 2 hour slot in their calendar just to do like a shoot, just so we can get all the video ads filmed. But I think these days, I think like we are able to crack, a third-party POV ad format that allows us to scale. So yeah, instead of having the client talk about their offer or like their webinar or their challenge and things like that, we'll just have AI sort of narrate a third-person POV script, and that has been doing quite well for us. So because that worked for us, creative refreshes become way easier because we just have to switch out, the voiceovers, just need to switch out the hooks, just need to switch out the B-rolls, things like that. So that definitely helped us. Like that's definitely how like AI has helped us big time. I think the other thing is also with ad copy or like most copywriting. I think AI almost completely replaced those for us. Like the AI is doing most of that these days. Like we just need a person to kind of like proofread the stuff to make sure that they're still relevant to the client's offer. But that's about it. And I think there are also small things like automations that we are doing, maybe not like related to AI, but like because of our exploration into AI, we started finding tools like Zapier and things like that that we started utilizing more, and that has definitely helped.
Yeah, and it's amazing what results you can get with an AI generated ad too, right? And a lot of people still aren't using them because a lot of people still have this belief that, well, if they're the face of the brand, they have to be the one in the ads. And that is true, but you can also use AI and these other video creation softwares like Sora to do a video version of you that is AI, but it's not you having to film it, right? And it's just something that still people aren't using, but of course, right, a lot of the admin are. And do you feel like the future of info and high ticket services and selling things online, like what's your take on selling courses and coaching by like 2027? And I'll kind of leave it broad in that scope because I want to see where you take it. But yeah, I want to get your thoughts. Like what's the state of selling courses and coaching online in 2027 with AI and everything advancing the way it is?
I think a lot of what you talked about in the mastermind as well, with things like there's a massive trust deficit right now because everybody's just claiming a bunch of things. I think I see the worst of it in probably like e-com, just like random testimonials or like stories that are just, I don't know where they get stories even, but like I think trust deficit is going to be a massive thing going into the next few years. So I think like creators or like coaches or like clients who are willing to kind of like show up more like in person, kind of like their community, doing live events, physical events. I think things like masterminds and like in-person challenges or like in-person events is going to be huge. And it's not going to be like huge in what it is today, but because I do believe that these events or like these in-person events, like people are definitely going to pay a much higher premium for it. I think like today people are paying like maybe like a couple thousands to attend events like this. I think in the future it's going to be even more expensive just because it's so hard to get. And if you're like really good in your space, then you could definitely demand or like command that premium pricing. That's where I see it, is because I feel like people definitely, like in the age of AI, people definitely want more connection, like like-minded people and things like that. And if you're able to like gather like like-minded people in a room for your clients or your community, like yeah, it's very valuable.
Yeah, 100%. I'm so bullish on the mastermind, especially like not only because I love doing it, because exactly what you said. It's like you not only get the right people in the room who are also doing the similar business as you and everybody else, and they can learn from each other too. But you're also giving them access to an event and experience that they're not going to get scrolling TikTok or Instagram or, you know, Snapchat and all these other apps that just fries their brain and dopamine. It's like, let's get out, let's have experiences, let's have fun, let's communicate. And that's going to only get better and bigger. And it's going to be a lot more premium, like you said, to pay to get access to somebody that has that community. And when it comes to services, right? I don't know about you, but I feel like you and me, and everybody in the mastermind who's adopted this already, we're in the best position for the next 2 to 3 years, because as AI continues to make your job as an agency owner easier, my job as an agency owner, and, you know, education company owner easier, it's like, I believe selling information is already being commoditized, right? At our feet, like they're basically, people are now paying for the implementation, right? And the implementation that we provide for them can be automated with AI, which then perfectly sets us up for the future. Because if you're still going to sell the course or coaching, that's just information and a bunch of long videos and modules, that might work, versus how well it'll work compared to someone like us offer, where we have a done for you component that does the majority of the work for the client, automated with AI, so our profit's still high. Like, I just don't understand how other people are going to be able to compete. You know, like, do you feel that same way?
I feel the same way as well. I think people will increasingly want to pay for not the work but the outcome. So, you know, the things that we talk about, like, you know, the incentive for us to help our clients scale, like getting the results that our clients ultimately want. I think, yeah, if we do our job well, I think we are definitely in like the right position to kind of like make it in like this day and age. And also the other thing that's is going to be really interesting is that, like, people, I think we've already started seeing a lot of these like performance driven offers these days. Like, we get you 100 leads in like 30 days, or you don't pay anything back, like get crazy guarantees like that. But I think, yeah, the world is definitely moving more and more in those directions now that there are so many options on how to do something. Like, clients would definitely ask for like, okay, I don't care how you do it, just give me 10 clients by the end of the month, and you'll be good. You know, so I definitely see, like, you know, the world moving that direction for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't care how you do it. Just give me the clients, please. Just pay. I'll pay you. Yeah, it's funny, man. Okay, so from 30 to 130, and now, like, being at 130, right? Like, what do you see as like the next 3 moves to get you to even a bigger level? If you had to choose 3, like, what are the things that you think are keeping you stuck right now, if anything?
I think right now, I think the more I think about it, I think this year I decided to be way more selective with my clients. I started reviewing, because I definitely do not want to grow my team even more, just because of like AI, and then, you know, my thing with, like, you know, people and things like that. But then I definitely want to, you know, kind of look at, you know, what kind of offers can I still bring to the table. Because like crazy enough, like, you know, we scaled to 130K purely based on word of mouth and referrals. So, you know, and partners as well. But I think, like, to kind of get to the next level, to kind of like, you know, get people to continue to come to me, even after, like, you know, this word of mouth thing sort of dies off, I would definitely need to start doing a bit more like sales and marketing. So I think, like, Q4, like this Q4, I'm actually putting in all the marketing assets, like testimonials, like things that we've done in the past, like methodologies and things like that, into an offer. Then, yeah, and then, you know, I'll start looking at, you know, things like maybe like a hybrid offer, or like a front end offer that I can put out, or like an application funnel that I can put out as well for the agency. Yeah, just to start, you know, acquiring clients that way.
Yeah, it's so funny because you, like, most, like, you and I do our stories so similar. It's probably why we like working with each other. It's like, I scaled to almost 200K a month, but I couldn't break past that with my agency. It was all word of mouth and referrals, no ads, just, you know, but I had my personal brand sort of starting to be built. And you've gone to 130 without any personal brand, basically, online. And now that you're just going to start doing it, and yeah, once you start ripping ads, man, like with a hybrid offer, I truly believe like that's going to be the thing that takes you. I mean, again, not with a huge team either. You can still do it because like I've learned that a lot of people just, they say they want to scale big, but they really just want 100K a month recurring profit. Like 100K a month recurring profit. Like you have great lifestyle, amazing business that's really well functioning, really well oiled machine, lean team, super high profit margins. Like that's the dream, right? So if you're already doing 130, imagine when you launch your own offer, grow your personal brand, automate a lot more with AI. It's like, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to help you with that over the next year because I'm excited for Wayne to start ripping ads and growing his personal brand.
Yeah, I think I wasted like a 1 full year just trying to decide between like, can I do this without putting myself out there? But then I think by, you know, after going to the mastermind in Hong Kong, after talking to you and like, you know, some other marketers in the room as well, I realized that, you know, I could maybe get there without putting myself out there, but it would probably take me like 10 years to do it. I might as well get there faster with like, you know, just putting myself out there, start advertising. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy too. It's like for me, it may seem like I always do a lot of content, but I'm very strategic. Like it's just, even if it's just 2 videos a week on YouTube, right? It's like that takes 2 hours, 1 hour per video. You film it, send it off to the editor, it's done, right? And then a year later, you have, you know, 110 videos, 104 videos posted on YouTube if there's 52 weeks in a year, right? So yeah, it's, and with your case studies and your track record and your results and your experience with Mindvalley, it's like, that's going to set you up for so much success because the best part about what you have, Wayne, unlike everybody else who's trying to create content today, is you actually have the sauce. You have the experience, you have the track record, you have the case studies. And so that's what I'm really excited about because you can leverage those, talk about it from a place of true wisdom. And a lot of people that just start creating content, it's like, yeah, everyone knows build a personal brand, but people start before they even actually have any real success. And you've had the success, you've gotten clients, amazing results, which, yeah, is going to be exciting, dude. Well, look, man, I don't want to keep too much longer, but I guess what's the last thing you would want to say to anybody who's watching this video that might be wanting to either potentially join the mastermind or even work with you?
Well, if you guys are thinking about joining the mastermind, you're an agency, you're a coach, or you're an offer owner, I would say it's a no-brainer. I think like I would attribute like a big part of my agency's growth to the mastermind. Not only like for me, I didn't even have to be part of most of the calls. Like the content itself that comes out of the recording, it's way more valuable. Like it's valuable enough for me to like justify the cost of being part of the mastermind. I mean, that's how I've been, you know, taking value out of the mastermind as well. So yeah, it's a no-brainer. I'm glad that I joined like early on in my agency journey. And yeah, for those of you who wants to, you know, talk ads and funnels, feel free to reach out. I'm at Wayne Liu across all social. And you can also check out the agency's website at kuaby.com, KUABY.com as well.
Yeah, Wayne, this is the funny part about Wayne. He lives in Malaysia, and so his time zone is the complete opposite of ours in Miami. And he's never on any of the calls, but he always is messaging me randomly and saying the calls were valuable because he watches the recording. So if you have an objection saying, "Oh, I can't join because of the calls," it's like Wayne is the objection breaker for that, 100%. And that's what we use too. It's like, bro, this guy doesn't even show up to the calls. He still scaled his agency from 30 to 130, and he doesn't even take advantage of everything that he could. But I get it because it's like time zones and everything. But yes, definitely check out Wayne. Go to his website, check out his case studies, and then send him a message and tell him personal brand, it's time, go all in, and you'll see his journey over the next year. And you get to watch it firsthand. So go follow him. And until next time, keep smiling, keep learning, keep growing. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.